Welcome to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We are coming to you on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, serving all of Southern California and around the world on your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Spreaker, and many others. You can also catch us on Roku or YouTube on the Building Solid Foundation channel. Today, we are going to have a special guest. Faiz Farj is a pharmacist for the last 22 years. Graduated from Wayne State University Pharmacy School. He's a father of three, and he claims he's the husband of only one. That's good. That's the way to do it, right? He's running a compound pharmacy for the last 7 years and also owns and operates a compounding pharmacy in Michigan. Part owner of a manufacturing facility. We'll get into that in the discussion later. Part owner also of a retail pharmacy. And we'll get into more of what he's done as we go through the discussion. Faiz, welcome to Building Solid Foundations, and thank you for being here today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, just for disclosure, I know so little about pharmacy other than every once in a while my doctor or dentist gives me a piece of paper to take to the pharmacy and they give me something to make me feel better. And of course, I understand the basics that there are retail pharmacies and compounding pharmacies, and that's about the limit to my knowledge and experience. So you came out of the pharmacy school, and did you start your own pharmacy or did you work for someone else first and then go into business?
So when I graduated out of pharmacy school, I started working at CVS for a period of time, maybe about a year. Went from there and opened up my first retail location.
That's pretty quick, right out of school, 1 year of experience, yeah.
Yeah, so we took the risk, just had a baby, got married, and said, hey, let's give this a go and see what happens. And it was the best decision I ever made. I've always been more entrepreneurial than I have been, like a worker bee. So decided to open up that first pharmacy, did very well with it. Then I sold it to CVS. They acquired it, and then worked for them for a period of time, then opened up my second retail location, the one in Detroit, which I've had now for 15 years. And got tired of the retail business because, it's almost like working on a factory line, right? Everything's predetermined for you. Formularies determine what medication you can give to patients. And physicians work within those formularies that insurance companies set forth. I wanted to practice more of a customizable kind of pharmacy. So I got into compounding pharmacy at that point.
Okay, and do you find it, you mentioned the idea of the insurance companies are really who's determining what doctors can and can't do for their patients as far as the pharmacy and the chemicals go. What's your thoughts on that? Having been to pharmacy school, are insurance people who are mostly actuarial type folks, are they really the best people to make those decisions?
They have their committees to make these determinations, and they're filled with people from the healthcare field, whether it be physicians or hospital workers or pharmacists and so on. And a lot of the times when they make their formulary decisions, it's based on certain classes of drugs, right? So if you're taking a cholesterol pill, for example, it could fall in the statin group. And they'll select one or two of the different statins in that group and say, this is what we're going to have on our formulary. A lot of the times it's based on cost savings to the payer. So, it could be like a Medicare payer. So they're saying that, we need to save money for them. And that's how they make their determinations. For me, it didn't work because, like I said, I'm here to practice pharmacy and I'm here to help people treat conditions that there's actual gaps in medicine for. So, right. And that's why I went to compounding pharmacy, to fill in those gaps.
Yeah, that's always been my frustration with the healthcare in general. Is it seems to be based mostly on statistical averages, and unfortunately, not one of us as a human individual is a statistical average. We all have our little exceptions. All of our body chemistry is slightly different. All of us have different allergies and tolerances and needs. So that's always been problematic. And again, everything works kind of on actuarials, which is, what is the highest point of the average for the most people, because this is how we make our decisions. And I get that from a certain point, from trying to regulate things so we don't have rogue people out there hurting people. But at the same time, it really takes a lot of creativity and real problem solving off the table for the pharmacist and the physicians who know their patients personally.
Yeah, so you're right. It could be whether your race, your weight, what you eat, how you live your lifestyle, a lot of that can change, the therapy that you need to be on. And unfortunately, in the climate that we're in, it's kind of a box that we have to live within, and it's like, um, this is what's predetermined. It's going to be covered, and if we're going to go beyond those limits, it requires a lot more work, where you have to get prior authorizations performed, and a lot of the times, physicians, pharmacies are a little too busy to handle that logistic. They just don't have the bandwidth or the workers for it. So it kind of it falls to the side, and unfortunately people miss out on those therapies that might be more beneficial to them than the more common formulary that's out there.
Okay, so you opened up a compounding pharmacy. Can you explain to our audience the difference between your retail pharmacy and a compounding pharmacy?
So in a retail pharmacy, you're pretty much getting manufactured medication. So it's medicine that came from, big pharma, that is ordered through a wholesaler and dispensed at the pharmacy. With the compounding pharmacy, it's more customized. So it could be an acne cream, for example, where the traditional acne creams are not working for certain conditions. So we create our own acne cream, and we discuss this with physicians because they'll discuss with us what issues they're having and what treatments or what modalities they're having a hard time treating, and we come up with solutions for them. So the way we pride ourselves is that we're a solutions-based pharmacy. If you're a physician who's having issues treating a certain condition, you reach out to a person like myself. We work together and we find out what the underlying condition is, and we try to treat that. The only difference between us and the retail side in the sense of cost is that you're most likely not getting insurance coverage with us. You're going to have to pay out of pocket.
Okay. So your standard CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid type place, the pharmacists back there aren't working with mortars and pestles. They're not mixing up lotions. They're basically taking out of large boxes and bottles and putting into smaller boxes and bottles.
Exactly. If they do any kind of compounding, it's literally the most basic compounding that there is, which is mixing two manufactured creams together, so.
All right. And everything else is just get the box, count out the pills according to what the doctor said, put them in a bottle, put a label on it, and that's pretty much it. In the compounding pharmacy, you're actually taking the more raw materials and actually producing lotions, pills, ointments, whatever is needed based upon what you and the physician have figured out might be the best thing to help somebody with a certain ailment.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, you aren't able to take insurance. Why does the compounding pharmacy not able to take insurance?
Insurance has stopped covering compounds, I would say almost a decade ago. They just removed that out of their formularies. So it's just something that's not covered. It's become common knowledge across the industry, and patients are accustomed to it and they've accepted it. So we'll try to bill insurance if a patient asks us to, but we already know that 95 to maybe 98% of the time it's not going to be covered. So, but we'll attempt it for them, and if we get coverage, great. If we don't, we try to give them a competitive price to where it's not over the top, or breaking the bank.
Okay. And you mentioned you have you're part owner. You own a compounding pharmacy, but you're also part owner of a retail pharmacy currently. Is that correct?
Yep, that's the retail pharmacy I've had since 2007. I have that with my business partner. He manages and operates that. I manage and operate the compounding pharmacy.
And now the retail pharmacy, we always think of it has more than just the pharmacy in it. There tends to be kind of a general store in there as well with different items, right?
So, but my retail location is in a medical clinic. So we have a small front end that we sell a lot of the OTC medications, vitamins, pop and chips, that kind of thing. Yep. But it's not as big as a CVS, or it's maybe a 1,500 square foot space that we're in.
Okay, so you're actually servicing the doctors who have the offices there in that complex then?
That is correct. And we also service the community. We're in the middle of a community in central Detroit. So we tend to service the patients in that area also. A lot of them tend to walk over to our pharmacy and fill their prescriptions with us.
Okay. You mentioned also in some of the information you gave me that you're a QA/QC specialist in manufacturing and pharmacy. So what does that entail?
So QA/QC is quality assurance and quality control. So it's an integral part in my industry in compounding pharmacy. And the reason why is because you have to make sure that the product that you're given is assured. So that's a quality assurance part. It is what it is, and it's effective for the patient. On the quality control side, it's the in-between stuff. So we're making sure that the cream is the right color, right consistency, that the technician weighed out the powders properly, and so on. And this allows you to backtrack if you have an issue with let's just say a cream. It allows you to backtrack and determine where it may have failed and why that occurred. And then, so QA/QC is probably the most important part to my industry than anything else, than even developing the formula itself.
Okay, and it goes beyond just making sure that what you sent out was effective. It also is making sure that what you sent out is safe. Is that correct?
Patient safety is the number one key to anything that we send out.
Okay, yeah, I always think of that. There's a scene in that old Christmas movie from years ago, It's a Wonderful Life, where the little kid who's helping the pharmacist stops him from delivering the wrong pills to somebody that would have killed him, right? So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, I always think of that scene. We're gonna have to take a short break, and we come back. I want to get into talk a little bit about what a GPO is and what your involvement in that is, and we'll get into a couple of other things related to pharmaceutical work and why you got into that in the first place. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. My guest today is Faiz Farj. He is a pharmacist, and we will be right back after this.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Dafina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, DafinaMillerMortgage.com.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career
because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today we're talking to Faiz Farj. He is a pharmacist, both compounding and retail. He's sharing with us today some of his knowledge and experience in the pharmaceutical business. Faiz, we were talking about quality control when we left. One thing I wanted to ask you, why did you choose pharmaceutical as your career?
So I was, it's a funny story actually. I was actually pre-med going into Wayne State.
Okay, was your intent to be a doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be in the healthcare field because I had a grandmother who passed away from diabetes. So I had an attachment to try to be somebody who's going to make a difference in people's health and prolong, their life, along with, um, satisfaction of life too, right? Quality of life. So when I was in pre-med, I wasn't in med school yet, but when I was an undergrad, I was out with my uncle who happens to be a physician. And it was about 10 o'clock at night, and he gets a beep that he has to leave, a call. He was on call at the hospital. And I was like, what do you mean you have to leave? He's like, I'm on call. And I was like, hold on, is that the life of being a physician? And he was like, yeah, you're going to have to leave sometimes at 10, 11 o'clock. I go, that's not the career for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, people don't schedule their emergencies to be courteous, do they? They just happen when they happen. Yeah.
So at that point, I started researching to look into how can I remain in the healthcare field and not have to deal with being on call. And pharmacy was my calling at that point, and I felt like I could make a difference because I'm the last contact that a patient has for their therapy. They go see their doctor, then they come to me to fill the prescription. Any questions or concerns or that they may have are going to be directed at me at that point. And I actually enjoyed that aspect of being a pharmacist, the counseling part and speaking to my patients and understanding what their concerns are and what they're trying to achieve in their therapy.
And as far as what you need to really know for this is obviously chemistry is a big part of this. Is that really the strongest subject you have to have?
Yeah, especially in compounding, you have a lot of reactions that you need to understand and realize what are they doing and why are they doing it, especially like when you're making an emulsion and so on. But yeah, chemistry is a big integral part to understanding the pharmacology of a medication and how it works. I would say maybe more biochemistry too.
So you have to understand biology, anatomy, physiology, along with the chemistry.
Exactly, because you're just going through the whole pathway, right? What's this medication doing and why is it doing it? What are the side effects? How's it being excreted? How's it being absorbed and so on? So,
and the human body is essentially just a chemical factory that has to stay in balance all the time,
yes,
right?
Exactly. Yep.
So when we talked about compounding versus retail pharmacies, one thing that comes to mind is I've always looked at our basic healthcare and pharmaceutical system as reactive. It tends to wait until we have problems, and then it goes in and tries to, ease the pain, put Band-Aids on things, make us comfortable. It tends to, for a lot, ignore root causes. Compounding pharmacies, to me, have been more places where you go and there seems to be more of an effort to, can we get ahead of this and prevent problems?
Exactly. We're a little more proactive. So at Vios, that's probably one of our biggest keys, right? Is that we're very proactive in our therapies. We tend to promote and market some of the products that we make to physicians to help them understand that, hey, we're being proactive here. We're trying to prevent this from happening. And it could be something as simple as just a vitamin, so that's what a lot of our R&D happens to be is how can we help prevent diseases before they become an issue.
So it's not just drugs to treat things, it's also vitamins and supplements to balance out what the body's missing.
Exactly.
So it gets into the nutritional side of things.
Yeah, we believe in the holistic side of medicine also, right? So, I mean, as a compounder, you have to believe in all aspects of therapy and treatments for patients, because at the very end, you want what's best for them. And it's always is the one key thing we always got taught in pharmacy is quality of life. How do you improve quality of life? And so when I make hormones, for example, for patients, it's all about balancing their hormones and making them feel younger, stronger, better, healthier, more focused, better mood, better sleep, and so on. Because all of that comes into plays an integral role in how you feel on a general basis, right? So if you don't sleep well, you're going to feel terrible the next day, and so on. So you try to take this whole circle of things in life and you say, okay, how are we going to attack each part and make sure that the patient is going to feel what they need to feel. Even with like my pain creams, we started making pain creams about an emphasis on it about 4 years ago. And the reason why is because I was tired of the the pandemic that was going on with opioids,
Okay.
where people were getting addicted to medication for no reason because they're only masking pain. And I looked at my staff and I said, we need to treat the pain. We need to treat the condition that's creating the pain. So we started creating creams that were treating, whether it was inflammation or nerve damage or nerve inflammation and so on, in order to help assist these people to reduce their dependency on opioids and actually improve. And their pain tolerance went down with that.
Okay. So now you still need to work with licensed medical doctors to dispense a lot of what you're doing because it's still controlled substances. So how does that relationship, obviously you're probably working more with more holistic or osteopathic type doctors, I'm assuming.
No, we work with a lot of MDs, a lot of DOs.
Okay.
A lot of podiatrists, dermatologists, integrative medicine, hormone replacement docs. We work with a lot of the variety of different physicians.
And how does that work when you're trying to solve? Do you and the physician kind of collaborate and work together on trying to figure out what these solutions are?
Yes. So there's times where the physician will call me and he'll tell me what his issues are and what he's trying to treat. I'll make some recommendations. We go back and forth. He may have a specific API, which is the active ingredient that he really wants in the cream. We'll take a look at it. I'll let him know if it's going to work or not. And we have the back and forth discussion. Sometimes they just call and say, give me a solution. And I draw one up for them and I send it over to them and they take a look at it and say, yes, I want to proceed with this. So It's a little of both.
Okay.
But everything that we do is, it's patient specific and it's a prescription from a physician.
Okay. Now, you mentioned in your information you sent me that you're part owner in a GPO. Can you explain what a GPO is and what that means?
So I'm a board member on a group purchasing organization. We represent pharmacies across the country. So we've grouped them together and we use that as a tool for buying power. And then we negotiate with wholesalers to give them a lower COGS on their medications that they buy.
Okay, so you're kind of wholesaling. Is that what you're doing?
Well, we're the middle guy, right? So
Okay.
we've grouped several hundred pharmacies together. We take that buying power and we present it to the wholesalers and we say, this is the pricing that we're looking for with the discounts and added rebates on the back end for compliant stores and so on. And they go from there. And then we negotiate it. The stores give us feedback during the negotiations too sometimes, let us know that, hey, we need better generic pricing or better brand pricing and so on. And then, when we finalize the deal with the wholesaler, we sign on behalf of all the stores and then they get the discounted rate on all the medications. And it's good for them because, they end up saving on the back end on their COGS, which helps them especially with the reduced reimbursements that we're facing in the country today. So.
Okay. For the retail pharmacist, I noticed that most of them have very large stores, and the pharmacy is a relatively small part of the square footage of those stores. Is the margin on the retail much better than what's going on in the pharmacy? Is that the money made in front of the pharmacy?
So I can't really speak to that because I've never owned a large grocery store or a large front end, but I do have family relatives that are in the grocery store business and, the gas station business, for example. So I do know that the margins in the front end, like, candy, gum, pop, and so on, I think they're looking at 30 to 40% margins in those areas, I think. So I'm assuming they make more money on the front end than they do on the back end.
Okay, yeah, because it looks to me with a lot of stores, the pharmacy is there as a draw. That's why it's in the back of the store. But they're hoping that you buy a lot of other stuff on the way in and out. And that makes me think that are the pharmaceutical prices highly regulated so they're not really market prices, or they're kind of controlled by insurance companies, or how does that work?
They're controlled by the insurance companies. So your reimbursement is controlled by the insurance company. So
okay, so the margin is what it is, and you can't make it any more than it is, and there's no way to find efficiencies in there.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that kind of explains, because that was always my thought when I see these stores go in, that it's a lot more store and a lot less pharmacy. Yeah.
And a lot of the times, those are just pharmacies renting space in these stores, and the store is owned by somebody else. So
oh, I see. Okay.
Yep. So
okay.
for him, it's a draw to have a pharmacy in there. It's also convenient for his customers to have a pharmacy in there. So, it's a mixture of both. It could be that like a CVS is owned by CVS's, but a lot of these grocery store chains that you might see, or smaller mom and pop grocery stores that have pharmacies in them, they're probably just renting the space there from.
Okay. So if I go to my local Kroger or Albertsons, whatever, that's.
Yep.
Yeah, they right on those. And then
okay, so they kind of rent space out for that. I always looked at the way the stores were designed and the fact that the big sign out front said pharmacy, but when you went inside, 80% of the floor space was dedicated to toys and beauty care and
all kinds of other stuff.
Because what are you going to do when you're waiting for your prescription? You're going to buy stuff.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You got to wait around for it. All right, we're going to have to take another short break. We come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Faiz Faraj. He is a pharmacist. He's been a pharmacist for over 2 decades, and he has a retail pharmacy, but he also runs a compounding pharmacy. And we're going to continue this discussion after we get back from this break. Don't go anywhere. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today we are talking to Faiz Faraj. He is a pharmacist, and we have been discussing differences between retail and compounding pharmacies, a little bit about the pharmaceutical business, why he got into it. And now I'm going to get in a little deeper to some stuff, and I don't really like to do anything about politics or any of that kind of stuff, but I am interested in how different industries work. And so here's a question for you, seeing both ends of this. Do you think that our healthcare, the amount of money we spend on healthcare with insurance and subsidies and all those things that we do, the money we spend, would we spend more or less if more of that money was spent on, say, personal trainers, physical therapists, nutritionists, compounding pharmaceuticals, homeopathic doctors versus where most of the money goes now, which is to surgeries and basic big pharma type medicines, that kind of more reactive. Do you think there would be a difference in how much money we have to spend on the overall healthcare of in our country?
So that's a good question. So if I was to look at it from my standpoint, I would say yes, but when you have 360 million people in the country, it's going to be difficult to get 360 million people to get a personal trainer or a dietitian or some homeopathic treatments. And as we stated earlier, when it comes to healthcare, we're a little too reactive than we are proactive. But I will say that in the healthcare industry, they have taken a more proactive approach. They've given pharmacies metrics to where you got to make sure, for example, patients are taking their medications every month, right, on a daily basis, and you're on top of that. And that's a metric that the insurance companies measure against you or for you.
How can they control that?
So it's a matter of, let's just say, Steve, you're on a cholesterol medication, right? You took it for 30 days straight, and then you skipped a week and you didn't come in and pick up your medication. So they're tracking by your refill history.
So they're tracking based upon your replacement, you're refilling your stuff, but they can't. There's no way to really know if you're taking that. I could be selling that to other people.
Yeah, because you're doing your blood work with your physician, and they're seeing, okay, your cholesterol is still not controlled, or your blood pressure is still not controlled. It's a matter of, are you taking the medication, or is the medication just not working for you? So those are the only two issues that you would have in that situation. But they're trying to take a proactive approach to it. I mean, even insurance companies charge premiums that are higher now if you're obese or if you're unhealthy and so on, which, I could see where they're coming from, because but at the same time, I think in those situations, they should take a more proactive approach and reward the patient for taking steps to lose weight or get healthier and so on. That's where I could see getting a personal trainer or a dietitian and so on, and showing that, hey, I'm taking the steps to be healthy.
Well, that's what I've always found ironic and to me, that's more punitive. It's after the fact. I say, to me, everything seems to be after the fact. Okay, you're too heavy, so we're gonna crank your rates up on you. But what's not included in there is, oh, by the way, you can use your insurance to pay for a nutritionist. You can use your insurance to get blood panels to balance out, see what kind of supplements you need. You can find out if you have allergies or things that are affecting this. Those kind of things. You can't use your insurance to offset gym memberships or those things. And so to me, it's still reactive, and the rate difference is to me more punitive.
And that would be a great way of handling, our healthcare industry, is to be more proactive in that sense. I agree with you 100%. If they were able to say, hey, we will pay for you to get a dietitian, or we will pay for you to go see a homeopathic doctor, or to handle your, get a gym membership, it doesn't matter. But just in order for us to be a healthier community, we have to help each other out in any way we can,
Yeah, I think like the preventative to me, and I think that it goes into what are you eating, and for different people that's different. It seems that what the government approach to nutrition is, let's put out a pyramid and say everybody has to eat this diet. Well, there's a lot of kind of different people, and some people have severe, grain intolerances, and the whole bottom part of the pyramid is eat a bunch of grains, right? And that doesn't work. So
if you do your blood work, it'll tell you exactly what works, what you metabolize and what you don't.
That's right. Yeah.
What's your metabolism? What's your body breaking down? What is it? Isn't it breaking down? What is it converting to fat? And what isn't converting into fat? And so on. And I know a lot of people, that's the wave of the future right now. A lot of people are doing that right now. They're doing, tests to see, like, I could eat this and I'm going to lose weight, or if I eat this, I'm going to store fat, or if I eat this, it's going to, spike my insulin, and so on. So, I recommend it for anybody. If you're able to, go see a dietitian, go see somebody who could measure those parameters for you and see what benefits you to eat most. I know for a fact, like myself, if I eat carbs, I feel like I'm going to explode the next day, you know. But I could eat fat all day long, and I don't get a pound.
Right, and it's different. There's some people that do very well on a vegan diet. Other people do very well on an all meat diet. And they're totally opposite, but their bodies are built very differently. And I know so many people with different allergies that they cannot eat certain things, even though they're healthy for other people to eat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a condition where I get eczema, and I get it because I eat, tree nuts. I'm not allergic to tree nuts, but for some reason I get eczema to when I eat them.
That's like a slight allergy. I think it's an allergic reaction. It's not to get you sick, but I think it's your body telling you something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a matter of. But you could probably eat tree nuts all day long and you're fine.
Yeah, nuts don't bother me at all. Grains are a problem for me. I don't. They don't process well. If I eat a meal with a lot of grains and sugars, 7 hours later it hasn't digested yet. It's just sitting in there like a brick. But I could eat a 20-ounce steak and it's like nothing.
Like nothing, exactly. That's how I am. If I eat grains, it's like I feel like like I told you, like I gained 20 pounds that day.
Yeah, green vegetables, I can eat those. I can eat most veggies. I can eat a lot of veggies. The problem is that if there's pizza or cake in the refrigerator, the veggies will probably rot. That's the problem. So you have to keep that stuff out of the house, right?
Exactly. I mean, sugar is the most addicting drug in this world. That's one thing that they don't stress enough of.
And it's in everything. It's insidious in what it goes into. We think we're avoiding it, and we're not, because it's in the barbecue sauce that went on our meat. It's in the ketchup on the burger. It's in a lot of things that we're not thinking of.
Yes, exactly. You try to avoid it as much as you can, but exactly like you said, it's almost unavoidable.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of let's say the reactive pharmacy is trying to combat things that are caused by that. And we, as humans, we have a natural tendency towards those things that are sweet, those things that are fatty, those things that are satiating. And I think that goes back to just primitive physiology. For the most of human history, thousands of years, most humans were not well fed. It was a struggle to find enough food to eat, and therefore you gravitated towards food that would stick to you and turn to fat cells, and you could carry around a little bit because you didn't really know where your next meal might come from, especially in a long winter. Yeah, but unfortunately we live in a different world where now we can walk to the Costco or to any grocery store and buy more than what any human should ever consume, and take it all home and eat it all at once, and then sit on our couch and watch TV instead of being out in the field working. I think if you spend 14 hours a day plowing a field, you burn a lot of calories off.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Sitting in a chair, not so much.
Yeah.
So our lifestyle changed drastically, but our diets, if anything, went more the direction of the really more satiating, fattening, enjoyable foods.
Comfort foods.
But you begin to see a shift again, right? You begin to see people getting to the healthier lifestyles, the working out, the dieting.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is people get to the fad diets, which are never lasting, right? So you almost just have to find the diet that works for you and just stick to that. And I always tell people, don't call it a diet. It's just your way of life now. It's just how you eat, So, when you call it a diet, it's temporary. Right. You want something more permanent. So just change your lifestyle of eating and you just make it permanent.
Yeah, I went to a doctor. He's a holistic doctor, and they did blood panels on me. They ran the blood panels, and they just lined everything up, and they could tell by the enzymes what was going on. And then they said, okay, here's a list. They said you can eat anything you want to eat. Now, here's the list of what you're going to want to eat. But that was a pretty small list, and most of what I thought I wanted to eat wasn't on there. So it was a list of vegetables and lean meats and those kind of things, and fish. And I was like, I don't see a hamburger, I don't see cheesecake on here anywhere. But that worked. And there's a self-discipline issue, and in our culture, it's around us all the time. It's kind of that food porn kind of a concept. Everywhere you go, the temptation is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there's a burger, there's fries, there's pizza, but like I said, when you turn it into a lifestyle and it's your everyday eating habit, it's easy to avoid at that point because you actually start enjoying what you eat. And my wife lives a different kind of lifestyle. My wife believes in moderation. She goes, everything in moderation is good, as long as you're not overdoing it. So if you want to have a burger once in a while, it's fine, as long as you're not doing it every day. So
I would agree, because even people have, like say, I'm not supposed to eat grain items. Every once in a while, I will. It hasn't killed me yet. But I'll have a piece of birthday cake on my birthday. That's that hasn't killed me, but that's once a year, right? So
that's moderation, right. And I agree with her. I'm a little more strict with my dieting, but right. Or my eating habits. I hate calling them dieting and my eating habits. But that's just because I enjoy my eating habits. I don't have an issue with them. So, and I don't crave the other stuff. So.
Okay. We're about out of time on this segment. When we come back, I want to talk to you about Zoba, this company you have, and what it does and how that ties into everything else you do. I find it's a very interesting conversation of what I know nothing about. Again, what I know about pharmaceuticals is it couldn't fill a thimble. So I find it very interesting to learn about other things. And obviously, I'm a consumer of it. I'm a part of it. So it's good to know all these things. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this. I'm talking to Faiz Farj. He's a pharmacist. And this is Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations Radio. And we'll be back after this.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA Producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA Producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. This is Steve Matley. We are talking to Faiz Farj. He is a compounding pharmacist. He also owns a retail pharmacy. Last segment, we were discussing kind of the healthy lifestyle and a more proactive homeopathic approach to life, which the compounding pharmacy fits into very much. So I want to take a little turn here, and I think this may be related to it. You're involved in Zoba. Zoba is a CBD business. Can you tell us what that is and what your involvement is?
So I'm a part owner in a CBD retail line called Zoba. We started this company about 2 years ago. It was myself and 4 other pharmacists. We started to come together, create a formula of tinctures, creams, capsules, gummies, and we decided to take the B2B route to where we were promoting it to pharmacies to start. That's the route we've taken over the last couple of years, where we've been selling it mainly to pharmacies across the nation, especially marketing towards the pharmacies that we have in the GPO. We all happen to be involved in the GPO too, sitting on the board there. So it kind of worked hand in hand to start. It's been an interesting experience. It's heavily regulated, obviously. It just became legalized. Hemp just became legalized a few years ago, so it's fairly new to the market.
It's in its infancy right now as an industry.
Yeah, exactly. And you begin to see, the traction building. I believe we make a great product. The reviews are out of this world. I mean, people feel like whatever they're using it for has been working for them. We have very strict, like I said, QA, QC. This is done in my manufacturing facility also. So where, and our formulas are based on, being a little more aggressive than what's on the market, for example.
So the benefits of CBD, because I hear things out there, and it seems like CBD is that item that will cure the common cold, grow your hair back, you'll grow 3 inches taller, you'll be 10 years younger. But there are some real benefits to it. What are the actual benefits of CBD?
So there is nothing that's proven out there as to, according to the FDA, CBD is not an approved product for any treatment of any disease state. So I can't speak to what it's treating. I can't speak to or promote it as a treatment for any kind of therapy. What I can say is that, I do know people are using it for different kinds of disorders, and, the reviews that we get back is that, it's been phenomenal for them. Some people say they may have, helps them sleep, for example, so I can't get into specifics just because,
because it's a regulated item and doesn't have scientifically proven benefits yet. That's right.
So we don't promote it as a treatment. We just promote it as CBD, and people can do their own research online to see what they feel, if it's going to work for them or not. So.
Okay. I know it's become very popular, CBD oils, and you mentioned gummies, so those are chewables, I'm assuming, the consumables, right?
Yep, exactly. So we make gummies, we make capsules, we make creams, and the tinctures, the oil underneath the tongue.
Okay. And so that's one, if people wanted to figure out when and where to use that, they would go to a holistic practitioner or a doctor or someone like that and ask them, is this something you would recommend to try for this?
So Zova CBD is available online. It's zovacbd.com. We ship across the country to the states that allow it.
So it's an over-the-counter?
Yeah, exactly. There's no prescription needed. You just go online, you order it, you put it in your cart, and it gets shipped out to your home.
Okay, great. And so that kind of goes into the line of like a lot of the essential oils that are out there that have certain things that they're kind of designed for, but there's been no formal studies and clinical studies done on them yet.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Okay, great. So we only got a few minutes left. A couple interesting things about you. One, you lived in Sydney, Australia for a while.
Yes, I moved there when I was 10 years old. Moved back to, 10, 11 years old, moved back to the U.S. when I was 18. So came back for my senior year in high school.
Okay, so you started in the U.S., went to Sydney, and then came back again?
Correct.
That explains why you don't have the accent.
Yeah. I've got this kind of like mixed up accent right now, right? So some people say I'm from Brooklyn, and I'm like...
Well, I was going to say, Australian to Brooklyn to Detroit, you'd have like the nicest tough guy kind of accent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A very polite tough guy. Exactly. Okay.
My heritage is Lebanese, so it's like, okay, so I get a lot of that.
Yeah, well, that's very American, right? A little smattering of everything.
I'm a true melting pot.
Exactly. So how would you compare living in Australia to living here?
Australia's way more laid back, very laid back culture. I'm assuming it's very similar to how you guys are in California, right? It's right. It's a beach town. People are very laid back. It's like now when I go to visit, it's almost like, how do you guys live this way? Because I'm always on the go. You know how we are here. We're fast paced. Things need to get done quick. Our day is scheduled from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 9 p.m. even. Over there, it's like they just go with the flow.
You go with the flow, and that's a very Southern California thing too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, what's the stress about?
Bay Area tends to be, for all its reputation being, techie and stuff, they tend to be a little more rigid actually than Southern California. I heard a theory that the closer you are to the equator, the less punctual and the more loosey-goosey you are in business.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, like in Sydney, I'll go visit and like I'll be there for like a couple of weeks, right? Because my relatives will just be like taking days off of work, and I'm like, you don't need to take the day off. No, it's not a big deal, I'm okay. I'm like, you could just take this time off, and they're like, no vacation, just call off. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I was reading your personal motto: "The world doesn't stop spinning because you're napping. Every second counts." That's definitely not a Southern California beach culture motto at all. Our motto is "Surfs up, don't stress out." Right? Yeah, chill out. Yeah.
Well, the point behind that motto is just live life to its fullest.
Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, and I also agree. Even here, if you spend your life, on screens and streaming stuff and consuming it and watching the world go by, you're going to miss out.
Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of things. I always tell people the world doesn't stop spinning means that there's people that are walking and you're walking in a direction. The world's spinning you guys together. If you spend your time looking on your phone or laying on your couch or watching TV, I mean, you're just missing out on something amazing that may occur in your life. It could be the person that you spend the rest of your life with. It could be a business opportunity. It could be anything, but sitting at home or looking at your phone is not going to get you anywhere.
Okay, we got to wrap this up. I want to thank Faiz Farj for being my guest today on Building Solid Foundations Radio on KCAA, serving all of Southern California and around the world on various podcast platforms. We'll see you next week. I'm your host, Steve Matley.
KC